Hey friends, it's Julie here. I just got back from New York City and I wanted to share a little bit on the podcast about my experience. I was there with my friend and photographer, Sarah, and she came along to help one of my clients, Michelle. She is relaunching her podcast and she wanted to have a brand shoot. So off we went to the city, and I was really excited about this get together and outing with my friends. So we took the train to Grand Central and landed right in the middle of a rain shower. And before I knew it, I was back to the rush of the city that I will always call home. And the night went ahead. We checked into the hotel, and downstairs from the hotel, in the hotel, was this little Italian restaurant. Picture it. Classic New York. It's been around forever. And the food, was amazing. Um, However, then there was a sticker shock, a little bit of a sticker shock, because, well, a martini, $24. Oh my gosh, I could have bought the whole bottle of vodka, honestly. But yep, apparently, that is the price and going rate for the nostalgia of being in the city. Now, the next day, Michelle had arranged for us to have a glam squad at the hotel. Hair, makeup, the works. And Michelle used to work for a magazine. She was a publisher the for a magazine in for many years. So of course, she's got the inside scoop. And honestly, I was so ready to be pampered and to just let myself breathe. And not be the one who is holding it together, everything, holding together everything all the time. But there was one thing that deep down, I knew this was going to be a temporary thing, right? Because once I got back to Connecticut, I would slip back into the role of caretaker for my mom. It's almost a year since she moved in with us. And although I don't regret it or begrudge it, or and I'm grateful for the opportunity, well, I'm still the caretaker. And here's where it's getting really complicated. It's not just that I'm caring for my mom, it feels like it's me stepping back into an old version of myself. The oldest daughter of a single mom, the one who made sure things didn't fall apart. And suddenly, all those dynamics show up again. And even though I'm a grown woman, a wife, an author, an entrepreneur, yeah, it all comes back. So while in the city, it brought out the inner New York City girl in me. It also began to stir in me a reflection of who I've been and who I've become. And honestly, as I think about it, it's messy. I'm celebrating this week that I became a number one best-selling author again because I was a participant in the Awakening Your Power book from Nancy and Amy Harrington, the Passionistas. And I look at what I wrote in the book, and I look at where I am now compared to the 39-year-old woman who left her first marriage. And I am proud, but I'm also reminded that we can be both things at once: strong and uncertain, accomplished and still triggered by old roles. So today, I want to talk about that tension. What does it mean to live between the two worlds? The person you've grown into, and I guess the person that you have left behind. Now, here's the thing, I have to admit, I'd like to think of myself as evolve. I mean, I've done the work. I built a business. I coach others. I excel at my corporate career. I finally wrote the book that I dreamed of writing. I'm in the process of writing my third book. And I've learned about habits. I've learned about mindset and neuroplasticity. And again, that mindset every single day is something that we have to work at. But the truth is that sometimes my mom doesn't bring out the best version of myself. Sometimes she brings out the old me, the one who reacts instead of responds, the one who slips back into that person that wants to hold it all together, that wants to be perfect, doesn't want to let people show that there's cracks in her armor, the one who doesn't fall apart. And I look back at that girl and I look back at who I am today. And there's parts of her that have never gone away, even though I'm incredibly proud and feel like I've come a long way. Right. And here's the thing I have to admit that even though I feel myself is evolved, it's never going to be enough evolving. It's always going to be a continuous journey. And that's humbling, right? I mean, we have to realize that no matter how far we've come, these old patterns just don't vanish overnight. They hang around, they wait for us, and we get triggered. For me, it's stepping back into the role of caretaker or the oldest daughter of a single mom who felt responsible for holding it all together. So here I am living in two worlds. On one side, I'm an entrepreneur, podcaster, speaker who gets to go to New York City and celebrate becoming a number one author again and experience those moments of success and freedom and gets to, from the outside, live a glam life, right? But I'm also the girl that looks in the mirror and thinks, oh my God, look at that. You look so overweight, Julie. What's wrong with you? Look at your arms. They're so flabby. And I could catch myself speaking to myself in this very mean girl way. And I think, didn't I learn to love myself? Didn't I love to learn to love myself and to be kind to myself, to have some compassion? And I realized that I haven't necessarily, although I've learned it, I haven't learned it enough in which I practice it all the time, right? You know, I am still, right, in the other side of being that author, in the other side of being the person who is doing things that she only dreamed of a few years ago, right? I am still the daughter sitting across from my mom at the kitchen table, trying not to lose my cool over the same conversations we've had 100 times. And I've come to see that both worlds are real, right? Both roles are real. And both roles, the successful Julie, the got it together Julie, the badass person, and this Julie, well, they're all part of me. I am that girl. They're pieces of my puzzle. They're pieces of who I'm becoming and who I have been. And what I'm learning, and maybe you need to hear this too, is that the messy middle is where growth happens. And of course, we've heard that, right? That's so cliche. The messy middle, where it happens, growth happens outside of your comfort zone. But, evolution, it's not a straight line. And as I'm saying this, I'm not just saying this to preach to the world. I'm saying this to remind myself evolution is not a straight line. And it's not oh, I've arrived and now I'll never struggle again. No, it doesn't happen like that. It's more like, wow, I've handled that situation better than I would have 5 years ago. And then sometimes realizing, ugh, okay, I still have a lot more to go. I still have more to go. And when we're realizing that we still have more to go, it's about saying, hey, there's no big gap. Don't look at the gap. Of course, there's a gap, but look at the gain. Look at where you are today. I was so scared walking out of my marriage in 2009. I knew I had to do it. I knew there was no other choice, but I didn't know what that would lead to. And I think, yes, I'm better for it, but the biggest gift is that I continue to place myself in a position in which I can and will do the hard stuff, like caring for an elderly parent. You know, like I said, evolution is not a straight line. And if you think that you're going to somehow arrive somewhere and that you're never going to struggle, well, no, it's not going to happen, my friend. So it's important for you to keep that in mind and not be disappointed by it, but be aware that there's an opportunity for so many great lessons that we can achieve if we only give ourselves a chance. So it's okay if we haven't arrived and never will, by the way. Life is isn't about outgrowing who we were, outgrowing the old patterns, because that's never going to happen, right? But it's about recognizing them, learning from them, and choosing differently, even if it's going to take a long time and it's going to be something that we practice. But just like when you start, for instance, yoga, and you've never done yoga, you'll come to your mat and it's going to be hard. You may not be able to touch your toes, but if you hang in there, your flexibility will come in. Your compassion for yourself will start. You'll see that you are able to do things that you weren't able to do before. And again, it's going to take a few tries to do the things that maybe you're not able to do today, but you will. Trust me. And I see that. So if you're listening to this and you feel like you're juggling two worlds like I have, because again, I do feel like I'm juggling two worlds. And sometimes it would be so easy to fall into the negative Nelly and little bitchy person. But I don't want to be that. And I have to remind myself, what does it take, right? What am I going to do? And it's not necessarily going and getting glam all the time. It may be necessarily the simple things like having a cup of tea or just taking a big, deep breath or sitting outside with my dogs and feeling my bare feet on the grass, right? And ultimately, I want to remind you, right, that if you are struggling, if you're in a tough spot, if you're in a messy middle, that you're not failing. You're not, you don't suck, whatever it is that you tell yourself, whatever your little tape is, right? What is happening when you're in that messy middle, when you're struggling again with things that you struggled with before, it's all about you being human. It's all about the humanity that we have and the humanity that we have the privilege to live and the privilege to continue to be that individual who will have lessons, right? That won't stop, but that will take you to new places. And you'll be able to look back and say, look at me. Look where I am today. So I'm going to stop here because I don't want to ramble too much. And of course, I want to spend some time with handsome hot husband in the fluff squad. But I ask you, where are you living in two worlds today? What roles or patterns do you find yourself slipping back into? Even though you think you've done the work, right? Ask yourself, what are the thoughts and patterns that I left behind? And sometimes maybe I'm not perfect at leaving them behind and I pick them up along the way, but maybe I don't pick up all of them. I'd love for you to share your story. I'd love for you to just connect with me. And you can do so, Julie at goconfidentlycoaching.com, or send me a message on Instagram. I'd love to keep going with this conversation because I think that the more that we talk about it, the more that we realize that, oh, it's not just me dealing with that, right? Oh, I'm not crazy. Somebody else feels like that, right? And I hope that this episode resonated with you. And let's remind each other that growth isn't about being perfect. It's about embracing the messy middle together. And growth is about, despite our fears, going confidently in the direction of our dreams. See you later, friend.
Hi, everybody. I know that sometimes we get very lonely in this entrepreneur journey, and I want to invite you to join us into our limited time only, Purposeful You Mastermind. For many of us entrepreneurs, we believe that we can do it all. But the reality is that doing it alone only creates a lot of overwhelm. So join us at the Purposeful You Mastermind. You can find out more information by going to bit.ly/Julie's Mastermind. This is going to be the place where you are able to then unlock your full potential and achieve long-term success for your business. Push you behind your current limits, expand your connections, discover new ideas, and implement them with confidence. You're going to get the support in all aspects and transforming you to the six-figure business you've been looking for. Pause and get off the hamster wheel if you've been spinning around. This is a time where you can get that support from like-minded entrepreneurs that are here to join you in your journey. Together, we can challenge the assumptions and land the speaking engagements and opportunities we want to grow our business and make an impact in the lives of people. See you then. Remember, you can find the mastermind at bit.ly, Julie's Mastermind.